The next speaker is Professor Dr. Wilfrido Villacorta from the Philippines. If you look at Professor's CV, you know he's a true blue educationist. He is now the Professor Emeritus of International Relations at De La Salle University in the Philippines. And his extensive experience with the ASEAN countries, having been the Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN. And he was also one of the members who drew up the 1986 Philippines Constitution. Currently, he is the member commissioner of UNESCO National Commission of the Philippines, and he's also the visiting professor of many universities, including one at home in University of Malaya, and a staunch supporter of the Liberal Party. He's been a member since 1990, and he was the party's vice president for education in 1992.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now? Yes. Allow me to use the podium because I have a PowerPoint presentation. I feel a little insecure now because being an aging baby boomer, we just listened to two babies in their 30s and 40s. I'm 64, so I hope that I will provide wisdom, not boredom. First of all, I would like to express my joy in this third visit of mine to your country, Sri Lanka. Very dear to my heart because way back in 1969, most of you here were not yet born, but in those ancient times, 1969, it was a golden era for Sri Lanka. It was called Ceylon then, during the time of Prime Minister Senanayake. And there was peace all over, and I'm glad the peace is restored here. I was doing research for my doctoral dissertation on Buddhism and politics, but I got so caught up with the wonderful philosophy of Buddhism that I stayed in the Vajrayana monastery, almost became a monk. And there I took instructions in Buddhism and in meditation. So if there's any local here who lives near Vajrayana Monastery and you offer to bring me there to visit my guru, Bhikkhu Kondaniya, I shall not refuse your generous offer. Anyway, my topic is East Asia and Southeast Asia perspectives on obstacles to choice and excellence in education. As far as the coverage is concerned, Northeast Asia has always been referred to as East Asia. Actually, nowadays in the 21st century, when you refer to East Asia, you refer to both Northeast Asia, namely Japan, China, and the two Koreas, as well as Mongolia, as well as Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is part of the concept of East Asia, and that would include the 10 member states of ASEAN, Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand, and the newcomers to ASEAN, namely Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Burma, and Vietnam. And now there's a newcomer, but not a member of ASEAN, Timor-Leste. My sources are the latest 2010 EFA, or Education for All, Global Monitoring Report. And the one of its annexes, Regional Overview, East Asia and the Pacific. So they include the Pacific Islands as well as Australia and New Zealand in that study. I also consulted UNICEF, Studies, UNDP, Asian Development Bank and World Bank findings. There is, of course, some risks when we speak of trends in East Asia. You can average the statistics, but we must always be alert to the fact that when you average statistics involving some 15 countries, it can be misleading. For example, if you say that literacy increase in East Asia, in the East Asia region, such as what is shown in the slide, the first slide, you must not forget that the big bulk of the population of East Asia live in China, right? So when there is even just a slight increase in the literacy rate in China, then that will have significant effect on the overall statistic with respect to increase in literacy rate in the region. By the way, don't worry about copying all this, because I have requested the Secretariat to reproduce the slides for your convenience. So we must bear that in mind. For example, if we average the expenditures for education, the allocation for education, the national budgets of all member countries in the East Asian region, and also if you include the Pacific, you will get a misleading picture of the situation, because that would be inflated by the very high allocation of Japan for education, not to mention the very high allocation given by Singapore, Taiwan, and well, there's also a big budget allocated by Thailand and Malaysia. And if you go per capita, then you're given a misleading figure if you look at the Brunei Darussalam statistics. I think you know what I'm trying to say. That is why it is important, if you want to have a more satisfactory description of the situation of education and governance for education in this part of the world, that you consult the reports on each and every member country. And we are fortunate here that if you have questions about Philippine education, you have the former Deputy Minister of Education, very young fellow, also a baby, Professor Mike Lutz here. He was the Undersecretary for Education. And you have also Dr. Julay Tihanki, or Julio Tihanki, who has done policy mapping for education for the Liberal Party. Now, as it says here, East Asia assigns less importance to education in government budgets than do several other developing regions. Now, if you are from Singapore or Malaysia or Thailand, you say, wait a minute, that's not true. Yeah? Even the Philippines, on paper it looks like we have allocated 50% of the budget to education. But there are some manipulation, as Professor Miguel Luz would attest, that if they would make it appear, some of the lawmakers in the lower house, which is in charge of appropriation, that they will make it appear that these are allocations for the Ministry of Education, but in reality, if the road is built in front of a schoolhouse, that's public highways, but they would credit it in favor of the Ministry of Education. This political tricks, especially under the present administration. By the way, what I say here, it does not reflect the UNESCO National Commission nor the Liberal Party. They are my own. All right, so it says here in the UNESCO report that the median share of national budget allocated to education is 15.3 in East Asia, 12.4% in developed countries like the United States and Western Europe, and higher, but they have higher values in Arab states, South and West Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa.